Hi there. With Sydney in lockdown, it's a very challenging time for all of us, but particularly challenging for those in southwest and western Sydney, where there are now 8 local government areas subject to special lockdown restrictions. In this culture chat, we check in with Helena Nguyen from the business school. Helena is one of the many members of our university community who live in one of the affected areas, and she chats here with our program manager, Stephanie Wood, about how she and her family have been faring.
So can you tell us how are you and how have your family and neighbours been faring during this lockdown?
We're doing okay, Stephanie. Thank you so much for asking. So I do live in one of the hotspot areas, so Fairfield LGA, where I think as of yesterday we're restricted in terms of our movement to be within 5 kilometres. Hopefully that will restrict any further. But I do think that regardless of where we live in Sydney, that there's no doubt that in the last 18 months or so, been really hard for everyone. But for me, I guess I've been homeschooling 2 primary school kids. I had a bit of practice last time, so you'd think I'd be much more, well practiced and know what I'm doing. But I don't know, this time around, it just feels a little bit more challenging. And I think, like many of us, I'm also just preparing for semester 2 teaching. So there is a lot on, yeah.
So how have colleagues been supporting you? What can we do that's been helpful?
I think now more than ever, we do need to reach out to each other and to reach out to our colleagues and to check if they're okay. I was really grateful when recently a colleague of mine reached out to check if I was okay. And we sort of did a little, text message, and then we end up exchanging just a little delivery, some food, some flowers to each other. I think these little compassionate gestures go a really long way. It's not a lot of effort nor time, but it does start with noticing. I think it's important that we notice and that we're mindful. I think that everyone's situation in this pandemic is actually a little bit different to our own. And even simple things, I think, can be big things, and simple things that we differ, like, for example, having good internet and having access to good internet, or even like access to a nice workspace where we can separate and have privacy and be able to maintain our productivity. I don't think we should probably assume that we all have that. I think in brief, empathy. So it's so critical. We need to be able to walk in each other's shoes a little bit more, to notice, to empathise, and I guess to be kind to ourselves and to others.
Well, many thanks to Helena for joining us, and to her and every member of the university community in southwest and western Sydney, a big message of support and solidarity. We will get through this. But as Helena reminds us, small acts of empathy and kindness can go a long way.